Welcome back to This Week in Agribusiness. I have cotton on my mind. I bet you will too now.
I think we will too as well, Max, because we're going to hear from Willie Vogt next. He's been exploring the John Deere Operations Center and how it can link farms even when their different farm sites are miles apart. He joins us now from Arizona.
We're down in Arizona for Tech at Work. We visited with Brian Rhodes at A&B Farm south of Chandler to talk about his cotton and diversified operation down here. One area, however, that the technology has had a great deal of benefit is in the ability to help him expand his operation over the last decade, and he explains how that works.
It allows me to manage things, across a large area. We've got 70, 80 miles between one farm, one furthest farm to the next. And so having the technology, be able to be in my truck and monitor what's going on. Well, it makes total sense to have lower seeding population here because, if we know that we're going to have yield drag and it's moisture related, having more plants trying to consume moisture is worse than having less. So we still obviously get around and check the fields and check on what's happening, but it just makes everything way more efficient. When we have a problem with the tractor, I get a code on my phone. It might be all the way on the other side of town, but I can go over or I can call the dealer, or I can call the operator and see what's going on, where it allows me to be able to farm a lot more acres that way without needing as much management labor workforce.
And that's how this prescription was written.
Yeah.
So I almost think we could probably keep this style.
Lane Richens with Stotz Equipment is involved with precision technology here in Arizona. And an interesting thing that he learned is that it takes a little bit of work to get that precision technology to work outside of corn and soybean country. In addition, in the work that they've done, they've discovered one data layer that's become very valuable in this part of the world.
So I think some of the things that we struggle with as a dealer and that we have to work hard for is we are trying to deploy technology that's primarily made for corn and soybeans and try to figure out how we can use that same technology or adjust that technology and make it work for our growers across our territory, where we grow a majority of crops that are not corn and soy related. So our primary crops across our territory are, in Arizona, we have a lot of cotton. We have a ton of alfalfa and forage crops across our whole territory, and up in Idaho we grow sugar beets and potatoes as well as small grains that are across the board. The key driver, many times, many farmers and like all of the agronomists tend to think, oh, we got to go do soil samples and try to base all of our recommendations off of the nutrient levels. And a lot of places are varying the seed rate. We've been doing variable seed rate technology for a long time, and as well as variable fertilizer, but many times that was based off of the soil sample results. So what we've been focusing on, what we learned was, we've been doing soil sampling, we've been doing a lot of that stuff, but what we learned was there was an extra layer that we tend to focus on now, and that's the elevation layer, because water is our limiting factor. It's not necessarily a nutrient. So we still want to do test soil samples and make sure that we're doing that, but let's not forget that water is our limiting factor.
It's fascinating to look at technology and how it's being put to work here in Arizona for Tech at Work. For This Week in Agribusiness, I'm Willie Vogt.
Thanks, Willie, for that update. It's incredible to see this kind of technology working at scale on farms across the country. Willie will be joining us again over the next several months with updates on more John Deere Operations Center.